Hello everyone and welcome to this lesson. We're going to talk about the alto scale today and how to use it and what is the alto scale. So this is going to be a free lesson on YouTube. I hope you will like this one. So we're going to dig into it right away. So the alto scale is used over dominant chords and it actually contains all the altered notes in there, which makes it sound very outside or there's a lot of tension in that scale. And if you just play the scale, it might sound, when you hear it the first time, it sounds very unnatural and weird and crazy. But in the right context, in using this scale is a door opener, because you can create some really nice sounds over the dominant chord. So I'm just going to play G dominant 7 right here. This is a shell voicing, G, F, and B. And I'm gonna go home, in other words, up a fourth or down a fifth to a C chord, and I'm choosing the key of C minor here, so just a regular bar chord, minor chord on the 3rd fret there. G7 to C minor. And over the G7, you can use the alto scale. And first of all, I'm just gonna write it out here on the iPad so you can see how it looks, and we'll talk about the notes within the scale. Here we go. Okay, so that's the notes. I'm just going to write a simple shell voicing that I just played there, the G7 up here. That's the 3rd fret of the E string, 3rd fret of the D string, and 3rd fret of the, 4th fret of the G string. So that's actually the root over here, and then we have the flat 7, and then the 3rd over here. So this is the chord, and this is not altered, it's just a G7 chord. But you can still use this scale over this simple voicing. It doesn't have to say G7 sharp 9 sharp 5 for you, or G7 altered. It doesn't have to even say that for you to be able to use it. If it leads up a 4th or down a 5th, meaning going home to the C chord of some kind, even if it's major or minor, you can use the scale that we're going to talk about now. So here are the notes. So if I just circle real quick the notes that I just circled on the shape there. So this is the root, the G note, and I'll write G here. And then we have the 3rd, which is here, that's the B note. And then we have the flat 7th, which is F, which is over here. And these 3 notes are the most important notes of the G7 chord. The flat 7, the F, and the B, those 2 notes only are very, very important, they make up that tritone, that sound that we already have some tension here, leading to C minor or C major, right? So we have some tension on these notes already between the F, the B and the F. So anyway, these notes, all these notes in between, are the altered. The chromatic alterations. So as we can see, if I just circle them with some red color here, this is the flat 9 of the chord. That's A flat, and that's this sound. Which one is resolved here? I'm gonna make it even more clear very soon, but just for now, I'm just gonna write out the notes. So the next one is A sharp, and that is the sharp 9 of the chord. Like the Jimi Hendrix chord, G7 sharp 9. That's the A sharp note there. So of course that's not in the standard G mixolydian or C major scale. It's outside of that scale. So here we have the D flat here, and that note is the flat 5, and that's this sound, G7. It's also called the sharp 11, but you can call it sharp 11 or flat 5. I'm calling it flat 5 here, but it's the same note essentially. So that's that note, and then we have the sharp 5, which is over here, D sharp, and that sounds like this, G7 with the sharp 5, which wants to resolve to the 3rd of the major chord if it's a major chord, or to stay there if it's a minor chord, or even go somewhere else. It's just a very, very common sound when you have that sharp 5. And then we have the F chord, F note, and then it's back to G, which is of course the root again. So if I just write these notes out on the scale diagram over here, I'll just write out the scale using those the guitar neck shape over here. So here we go. So this is the scale, and if I just play it for you, it will sound like this. G7, I'm going to play it from G here. So as you can hear, it's a lot of crazy sounds there, but I'm just gonna make it clear here and circle the altered notes, or the notes that actually give us the altered sound. So we have this one, which was this one, right? The flat 9. We have this one, which is the sharp 9, right? I'm just gonna write that actually underneath here. Flat 9, sharp 9. And then we have, this is the third once again. So that's okay. That's the same note as this one, right? This one is the same note as this one. So I'm just going to take that away from now. So here we go. We continue with the red color playing showing that note, which is the D flat. And this is the D sharp. So it's the flat 9 and sharp 5 right here. Flat 5 and sharp 5. Right there. And then we get to that this note, which is a flat 7, and then we have the root again, which is over here. And you probably see that this is the root as well, right? I'm not going to circle all of them, but as you can see, probably these notes right here are also, this is the sharp 9, this is the flat 9 right here, right? So these are the same notes, right? But it's just up a couple of octaves there. So now you can see that this scale contains actually kind of a dominant 7 arpeggio, because it has the root and the flat 7 and the third of the chord, but it also has all these altered notes in between. And this is what makes this scale so great. I'm using it all the time, and I think almost every musician that plays some kind of a jazz sometimes use this scale, because it's such an effective, nice sounding scale to create some tension over 5 chords or dominant chords leading home or up a 4th or down a 5th, same thing. Okay, so this is the scale, and I'll play it once again. So G7. Okay, so that's the sound of the scale. But if you just play the scale, it might sound a little bit weird. It's nice to start messing around with it and play some melodies. The reason, you might have heard that this is a mode from the melodic minor scale, and it actually is. It's called the Superlocrian mode. If you take a look at the iPad once again, from this A flat note to the next A flat note, if I would write an A flat right here as well, that is actually called the melodic minor. A flat melodic minor. That is actually that is the scale. If I would write out the A flat melodic minor, I probably wouldn't use, A flat and then A sharp. I would say A flat and then B flat and so. But it's the same notes. I'm just writing it out. The alter scale I wanted to write out like this, because then you clearly see the root and then flat 9, sharp 9, and so forth. But it is the same notes. The 7th mode of the A flat melodic minor is the Superlocrian mode, and it's the same as the alter scale. So in other words, if you have a dominant chord, G7, you want to play over that, and you're comfortable playing the melodic minor scale, you go up a half step and then just play the melodic minor, which sounds like this. Right? Which is the same thing, but if I start on the G and then playing the A flat melodic minor after that, you hear that it's the same note. So it's a mode of the melodic minor. So easy, you know, if you can remember that, if you're playing over a D7, for instance, D dominant or D altered chord, going to G or G minor, go up a half step, that becomes E flat in this case, and play the melodic minor. That leads to G. So I wouldn't say that everyone does this, but many people think of the melodic minor when they hear altered scale or Superlocrian mode, because that's where it comes from. It's easy to gather or find the notes, maybe easier if you're already comfortable playing the melodic minor scale. And so it's a great way to organize the notes for your, you know, to get it in your fingers, and then you have to kind of try to start to hear the scale. So it's a great thing to practice how to hear the scale. Maybe play the chords. Where is the flat 9? Da, and it's resolved. Da, right? Something like that. So you start to you play. Maybe you have a friend that you're jamming with. Ask him or her to play a dominant chord, and then you just jam on that scale for a couple of minutes. That would be great fun for your friend. Just kidding, maybe not. But put it on a loop pedal, or record yourself playing with your, you know, with your phone. Just record it on the phone and then play the scale together with that chord, recorded chord. So anyway, let's keep going. So we have the scale here. G altered scale, same as A flat melodic minor, same as the G Superlocrian. So I'm just going to write out a couple of lines over the G7 going home to C minor, so that you can try a couple of lines and get the sound in your head. Here we go. Okay, so let's hear how that line sounds over G7 leading to C minor. And this is 2 bars of G7. 1, 2, 3, 4. To C minor, right? Once again, G7 to C minor. Here's the lick. Again. And it starts off with a pickup note there, a B flat to B, and then we go. It's kind of like a diminished sound there, right? Flat 9, and then down the scale, and then to resolve it on the minor third of the C minor chord, right? It sounds, of course, this is 2 bars of G7. I mean, now I'm playing that lick from the beginning of that, you know, those 2 bars, all the way altered, landing, resolving on the C minor. Oftentimes it's not used for that long. Sometimes it's just used at the end to build tension just before you get to the C minor. So this might sound a little bit too crazy if you haven't used the scale before, but it's definitely a good line to practice. And you can practice the scale. I usually play the chord first, then play the scale. And then play the chord again, then you hear the sound, right? You get the sound. Joe Pass said that in one of his lessons. I know that he plays a chord up to a note, maybe the third, then play the scale that goes with that chord. In this case, we're using the alter scale up to that highest note of the chord, and then he plays the chord again, because then it becomes a line rather than, you know, just scale. You hear it, you get it in your head, your ears. Maybe an octave up. So here's the lick again. 3, 4. And it's nice to do some trills sometimes. Like something like that. That's the line. I hope you like it and try it out. I'm gonna give you one more line just to practice. So here we go. Okay, so let's listen to this one. So it's G7 to C minor. Right? Over G7. Right? So it's over the G7. We're starting off with this kind of phrasing, which is a standard jazz phrasing. Resolving on the fifth of the chord rather than instead of the minor third of the chord like we did last time. Sorry. A lot of altered things in there. And I love that line. It's just almost playing the scale, not really just the scale, but really just walks down all the way from the major third of the chord down to the fifth of the next chord, C minor. So always remember, you can play this scale and this sound even though it just says G7 on the paper leading to C, some kind of a C chord. So it doesn't have to say altered, you know, or G7, I don't know, sharp 9, sharp 5. It doesn't have to say that for you to, you know, to allow you to play the scale. The scale can be perfectly used over just a three-note chord like this, G7. So, but if it says like G9 or something like that, G11, I wouldn't use it because that implies that you have like a 9, not a sharp 9 or flat 9. So that in that case, it won't sound too good with the scale, right? Because we're altering these things. We're changing the 9 to the flat 9 and sharp 9. So if you're going to use the scale, it should be like a dominant chord like this with no 5. And if it has a 5, that should be altered. If it says G7 sharp 5, G7 flat 5, G7 sharp 9, G7 flat 9, G7 sharp 9, sharp 5, all these sounds that have these chromatic alterations in the chord, you can use this scale. You'll be safe to use this scale. And I love the sound, and I hope you do too. Try experiment with it. Just record yourself playing a 5-1 chord change, and then you play over it and get it in your ears. So if you have any questions, reach out to me, on Instagram, ProGuitar Official, or my Instagram, Emil Ernebro Guitar. And you can also find me on the forum, ProGuitar.com, in the forum, and also, anywhere. You can contact me anywhere. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions if you have any. So have a wonderful day, everyone, and I hope to see you very soon.